At the moment, it appears lawmakers are getting about a minute each at the microphone. Congressman Mark Meadows serves on the House Oversight Committee. Sir, you're with me now live from the Hill, and you're not inside the floor of the House. Clearly, you will be shortly. Will you get an opportunity to speak today, sir?
Well, Bill, obviously, we've been very involved in this whole process. Actually, I've been down in a deposition this morning. I'll be going to the House floor right after I get finished talking to you, which is just a few feet away from me. But I can tell you that much of the Democrats' talking points down there are really ringing hollow today, because what we know is that it has not been a fair process. It's been a closed-door process. I've been in almost 70 hours of testimony right now, and all that's leaked out are the things that are damaging to the President of the United States. I can tell you, today's opening testimony, they're not going to leak it out. Some of my Democrat colleagues look like they're sucking lemons this morning as we're starting to hear from another witness behind closed doors.
Are you referring to Tim Morrison, who's the witness who started his interview at 8 o'clock this morning, about an hour and 45 minutes ago?
Yes, I was there. I started with Tim Morrison this morning, and certainly we can't talk about the specifics of what are going on in there.
Well, why don't you frame it for our audience, okay? Why don't you give us a sense? If you're going to say they're sucking on lemons, which means they suggest they got a sour taste in their mouth, why?
Yeah.
How come?
Well, I think what's happening is that we're now at a little over 10 witnesses that we've had come in, and all of a sudden what you're starting to see is some contradictions between witnesses that we had yesterday, witnesses that we're having today. You're starting to see a different side of the story, and what we are finding, and what your viewers need to understand is that each time that the witnesses are asked about holding up aid and was it held up for improper purposes, the answer is no. So anybody who's talked to the president is able to articulate that in a real way, that really this aid holdup was nothing more than a normal process that you would have, and ultimately was released without any promises being made by the Ukrainian government. So we're starting to see the other side of the story today.
You have said for some time you thought Nancy Pelosi should take a vote. Well, they are. It may not be the vote on impeachment ultimately. Perhaps that comes later in November, but it is a vote of sorts on the resolution. So in that sense, aren't you getting your way today?
Well, we're not getting our way today because it's not a fair process. Despite what my Democrat colleagues are talking about, this is not a fair process. It allows Adam Schiff to once again control everything that's going on. If we're talking about a fair, open, transparent process, let's make sure that we actually have due process. Let's hear from some of the allegations of the whistleblower. And why is that important? Because some of the things that the whistleblower has alleged in their complaint has been directly contradicted by not one, not two, but multiple witnesses behind closed doors. So it's time that we allow the truth to come out. When we do, we will find that the President of the United States did not, and I would emphasize, did not commit any impeachable offense.
So you're making the case that the thread of connection through all these stories is not there.
Well, here's one. We do know one fact, that the aid was held up. But we also know that the aid was released, and when it was released, it was not released as a condition of anything that the Ukrainians had to deliver. And so you can't have a leverage point if there was not a deliverable on the backside. So the president is innocent of that, regardless of all the rhetoric that you're hearing from Capitol Hill.
Well, Mike McCall was with us yesterday. He said the following, sir. He says, I think they, meaning Adam Schiff and the whistleblower, were complicit in working together to come forward with this complaint and start the entire impeachment inquiry. What does he mean by that? Can that be proven?
Well, certainly we can tell by some of the defensive postures that we get within the deposition. Whenever we start to ask questions that go beyond what is leaked out, Adam Schiff starts to object violently in terms of not allowing the witness to answer questions. And so it would indicate, as Chairman McCall was talking about, it would indicate that there was a coordination between the whistleblower and others as they put forth this narrative. And so do I subscribe to that? Adam Schiff, I believe, and his team are the only ones who knew who currently know who the whistleblower is, and certainly are the only ones that have had discussions with them.
Is there a chance John Bolton is a witness next week? Would you expect that?
You know, there's a chance. You know, Ambassador Bolton would have to speak for himself. I can't imagine, as a close advisor to the president, that he would do that, or that the White House would encourage that to be done. Whether it's this administration or a previous administration, you know, when you get that close to the president, I don't know that that's a precedent that we want to start. At the same time, we're talking to a number of the people that actually had conversations with Ambassador Bolton. We're getting a pretty good view without his testimony, but certainly that's going to be up to him and his legal counsel.
All right, two more questions for you then. How close are you with the 31 Democratic colleagues who won in districts that were also won by President Trump? How would you characterize your relationship with them?
Well, I mean, with some of them, most of them are newer, and so I'm just developing relationships with some of those. But we have a very fine and cordial relationship.
And with those, when you talk to them about this particular vote, what do they express to you? Do they have reservations, or are they all steam forward ahead on this?
Well, I think everybody is trying to push them into a corral so that they vote one way. I can tell you there's some real nervousness just a few feet from us, from those Democrats, because America is going to see this as an impeachment vote. They're going to see it as an unfair impeachment vote, and ultimately there will be consequences at the ballot box.
Have you spoken with the president in the past 24, 48 hours, or even this week?
I don't, Bill, I don't normally comment on my conversations with the president, and that's why I get to have conversations with the president.
Mark Meadows, thank you for your time. We'll wait to see whether or not you get your minute at the microphone there. Sir, thank you for coming on here. We will watch it as it unfolds. We believe the debate portion will last an hour, maybe an hour and a half, which may give us a vote on the resolution sometime in the 11 a.m. Eastern hour. So stay tuned. We'll find out together as we move forward after this.